Me and talk to me about being the head coach here at Kentucky. I understand the assignment. We are here to win banners.
Back outside. This is the point where he always hits it. Oh! Aaron Harrison beyond belief.
Welcome in to Kentucky Roll Call here on 96.1 1450, the Big X, for February 16th, 2026. I'm Stephen Peak, joined with producer Matt Chambliss across the hall. TJ is off to celebrate President's Day, of course. His favorite holiday, Matt, President's Day. He had to take the day off. No, I think he's just busy with work. But also,
President's Day?
It is President's Day. Happy President's Day, Matthew.
Oh, I didn't know that.
How do you celebrate President's Day? By working?
Yeah, working 10 hours.
Yes, working, getting those tax dollars and everything.
But I'm not really celebrating President's Day though.
Okay, so you're just. I mean, how does one celebrate What's a good President's Day tradition?
Well, when your birthday's on it, it's a little bit easier.
Is it your birthday?
Today's my birthday.
Oh, happy birthday, Matt! How did we not know about
Thank you,
this,
Steven? Well, I don't tell anybody.
Well, that is part of the reason I wouldn't know. I guess.
Didn't really have any plans because I'll be here till like 10 o'clock at night tonight.
Oh man, well, that stinks. When do you start? When do you come in most days?
So I usually come in at around like 7:50 to do just the cats, and then I go home for a little bit, like let the dogs out, take care of them, come back for this show from 12 to 2, and then I do 2 to 2:30 with Roman. Then I usually go home for a little bit, let the dogs out, take care of them again, and then come back on Mondays at 5:30 for Monday's Adult and Pence, and then sometimes, like tonight, there's a Bellarmine women's basketball game, or it's St. X, one of those two, and that goes until 10 p.m. So my normal day is 8 to 10 for just the cats, and then 12 to 2:30.
Okay.
But then there's days today where it's like super long.
Yeah. Well,
I get breaks in between, but it's pretty long.
Well, that's a long day, Matt. Did you get to celebrate Valentine's Day?
Was that Saturday?
It was Saturday.
That should be your answer.
It was on February 14th.
Did not get to.
That's that is the answer right there.
Paulina had to work a double, so she worked the morning shift and the night shift at the restaurant she works at. So I didn't get to.
Gotcha, man. Yeah, I got to celebrate Valentine's Day with KSR's Jack Pilgrim in Gainesville. See Kentucky take the 92-83 loss. We're going to talk a lot about that. And I brought a book in. Matthew, I thought we could just read a book over the air. What do you think? Is that good? Is that good radio for everyone?
I think so. I could put some solemn music in the background.
There you go. I brought in a book because it's one of my favorite sports books of all time. It's called Scorecasting: The Hidden Influences Behind How Sports Are Played and Games Are Won. I'll tell you why. Because in this book they do one of my favorite studies in sports of all time, and it explains, Matt, partially at least, why Kentucky took a 9-point loss at Florida. So we'll talk about that. I'll save that for the second hour, and you'll know why a little bit later, because I don't want to start the show with going over this study, because I want to lead into it a little bit. But otherwise, you had a good weekend, aside from not being able to spend Valentine's Day. Neither of us got to spend it with the women in our lives.
Yeah, I had a pretty good weekend. It was one where it's a very rare weekend where I didn't have a lot to do, actually. Like Saturday and Sunday, I kind of would just chill at home. Usually I have to work a basketball game over the weekend or something like that, but Roman took care of that for us this weekend, which I'm thankful for him. So I really, since Paulina was at work, I literally just sat on the game. Just played video games this weekend.
Oh, cool. What games do you play?
I play, like...
What's your favorite one?
Gosh, I don't really have one. I play it's really just here and there. I play a bunch of sports games like 2K and Madden. And I play a bunch of other games that if I just set them over the radio, people are like, what is this guy talking about?
Yeah.
The basic ones are probably like NBA 2K and Madden. Those are the ones that people would actually know when I say them.
Real quick, is 2K26 worth me getting? I know it's late in the season, but I have 2K25. Is 2K26, is it just a copy and paste?
I mean, yes, it's a copy and paste. They all are. It's for that situation where I just really like playing 2K with my friends. Like
so you have to pay the $80 for the new game every year.
I will say this one I think is better than the last one. I think the mechanics and stuff are better in it, but it depends. It's one of those things where you get it. then you kind of have to spend more money so that your player is good enough.
Oh yeah, I hate that.
Yeah,
the microtransactions are out of control.
It's stupid. I'm not a big fan. If you like playing that kind of style, but you don't want to spend any money, the game sucks.
Because you have to work really hard. You have to devote hours to it to get your player to be. Yeah, I absolutely.
The game sucks, and I don't recommend people pay for it. So if it's free, I would rather you play FIFA because you can play the same kind of game mode where you make your own player, but you can play the entire thing for free.
Oh, that's cool.
And you can still play with your friends, and you can build all your characters up. It's a lot. The game is terrible. That FIFA 26 is awful. I think NBA is better, but it just depends on how much money you're willing to devote to it.
Yeah, see, I'm an offline player. I don't do a lot of the online gaming. So,
that's fine. You should be fine if you want.
I like to do dynasty modes and everything like that. It used to be brilliant. Matt, you have no idea because the games back in my day, we're doing that thing already. Because you could play the whole game and you didn't have to do microtransactions, and they were more in depth. Like the Madden games back in the day, the campaign modes were just
so much better.
Yeah,
we're doing me and my friends are doing a franchise, or my friends and I guess, are doing a franchise right now on Madden. That's what I like to do. I like to do the my GM franchise modes. Yes. We all take over. Well, we always play in the same division. It's 4 of us, so we all have to play each other twice. And to make it more fun, sometimes we like to sit down and we like to draft our teams because that's always like a fun hour of just chilling out, picking players you want, stealing ones from your friends they want. But this time we thought we'd go in a different direction, and we just let the game pick for us, just simulated an auto draft, as if you were doing a fantasy league and you just didn't show up. And we're like, okay, one of us is going to get a terrible team. Well, that one of us is me. My team is bad. I want to preface, okay?
Yes.
Tyrone Tracy Jr. is my starting running back.
Okay.
Do you even know who that is?
No.
Me neither. Had to look him up. To look him up.
I'm looking him up right now.
Starting quarterback. Out of the 32 starting quarterbacks, which one do you think I got?
Tua.
No, worse than Tua.
Oh, well.
I'll preface. I was angry. He was only in the game because of something happened this season, and I was very angry about it. He shouldn't even have been draftable.
Go ahead and tell me.
Phillip Rivers was my first quarterback.
No.
I have my best offensive.
You got a 44-year-old.
Yes, my best offensive lineman is a 72 overall. So I just Phillip Rivers has 0.4 seconds to get out of the backfield or hand the ball off.
No.
I can't run play action. It's everybody else is like, oh my gosh, Jackson Smith and Jigba, you're doing so good for me. Ha ha ha. Oh, James Cook, you're really cooking for me. And I'm like, I have Phillip Rivers running for his life in the backfield.
What's your record?
I'm 0-1-1. I've tied.
Oh, okay. You guys just started.
We just started last night. I've tied a game.
Finished in a tie. We have a great show for you guys tonight. Hey, somebody asked in the Gameday Men's Health text line. That's 502-414-1450, 502-414-1450. Get your text into the Gameday Men's Health text line because I would love it if some of the texters can sort of steer the ship with us today. Give us some other things to talk about. TJ's favorite presidents. Somebody texted in. FDR, Wilson, and Clinton. I don't know. What do you think TJ's favorite presidents are?
RFK Jr.
I'll tell you, RFK would be my
president. RFK Jr.
Yes, RFK would actually be if he didn't get assassinated and would have won the presidency. Probably would have been one of my top guys.
No, it'll definitely be Stephen A. Smith.
That's true. Oh no, he is. Is he absolutely running for president?
Yes, I've seen video.
I saw some of that too.
He has the interview videos of what.
No, thank you.
He wants to run. He's like, I'm this kind of Republican, but I'm actually going to run as Democrat because I believe in this stuff. And oh man, we live in a fun world.
Yeah, I can't wait for when it's just celebrities
I think
running
all
for
three
office.
Kentucky roll call guys should just pair together and run as one entity.
Yeah, I agree with that. We get a good balance on here, and I don't know. Andrew Jackson, would that be one of his favorites? Millard Fillmore.
Andrew Jackson would be a bad favorite.
Yeah, I know.
That'd be a really bad.
Well, that's why I picked it, Matt.
Oh man.
Millard Fillmore, is that in anybody's top 10?
I couldn't even tell you who Millard Fillmore is.
It's JFK. Ah, that's a good one. John F. Kennedy. That makes sense. First Catholic president.
He came off that one right off the dome.
Yeah. Was that TJ's number that texted in?
I have no idea.
Or did somebody guess?
I have no idea. I don't have it pulled up right now.
Okay. We can guess, and if you want to take any guesses on TJ's favorite president, or tell us who's in your top 3, and they can't be from, let's say, top 3 since 2000. How about that? I don't know. Just give me your top 3 if you want to text into the Game Day Men's Health text line 502-414-1450 on a not too chilly President's Day here in Louisville, Kentucky. So we got a lot to talk about. Obviously, the Kentucky-Florida game. Got back from Gainesville early yesterday. We saved ourselves from a 11-hour or so drive and flew. The only problem, Matt, was that we had to leave for the airport at 3:30 in the morning. So I got like an hour of sleep on Saturday.
I mean, you're used to that, though.
Yeah, well, sometimes. And it was weird too, because once you get, like, I get a little adrenaline when I get on a plane. Like, I'm not afraid to fly, but there's like those thoughts in the back of your head, right? That's just like, well, I mean, once the plane gets up to a certain speed, I'm like, all right, we got to get off the ground. Let's do this safely, and then I got to calm myself down. So sleeping on a plane just doesn't happen. But we landed at 9:30 in the morning in Lexington after a little layover in Atlanta, and drove from Lexington back home. Got home at like 11:30, and I thought yesterday was a dream. I was just totally out of it, and wish it was, Matt. I watched my Murray State Racers take a 19-point lead. They had a 19-point lead in the second half. Do you know what happened?
I'm guessing they lost that 19-point lead.
They lost that 19-point lead very fast. They lost it within 7 minutes. I've never seen it before.
Would you say they didn't win the race to the end?
Do you know what the final score was? They had a 19-point lead in the second half.
What was the score at the 19-point lead?
It was, I want to say
around,
45-26, I think it was.
I'm going to say they lost 51-63.
They lost 87-70.
Oh, my gosh.
They gave up 63 points in the second half.
Did both teams just, like, shake hands at halftime and be like, guys, we're going off. This is All-Star Weekend?
Yeah, it was unbelievable. I've never seen a 19-point lead blown in 7 minutes.
They scored 40-something points and still lost. Like in the second half, they scored themselves 40-something points and still lost.
The first half, Murray State scored 39. They scored 31 in the second half.
I thought you said they had 80.
87-70. Did I say 80?
Oh, okay. No, you're right. I was listening backwards. I was
okay.
I was listening backwards.
Yeah, you know how everybody listens backwards.
I do. I thought you were saying that the first. I get what you're saying.
87-70 after being up by 19. Anyway, we don't have to talk Murray State the rest of the year if we don't want to. Now that they've kind of fallen off, and I'll tell you what, Kentucky fans wanted Roman DeMond. I don't know. He has not looked very good lately. His highlight reel looks great, but that's when you edit out all the bad plays. So he has not been that great. Kentucky on Saturday down in Gainesville takes the loss 92-83. It wasn't, there's no such thing as moral victories when it's a program like Kentucky, when it's a program like Louisville. I mean, even Indiana must hold themselves to a higher standard than moral victories. So it's not like I'm coming in here today or that I left the O-Dome on Saturday feeling good and, man, that was a good time. I had fun. That was great. But I definitely didn't leave discouraged. In fact, I feel better about Kentucky than I did going into that game. And I feel better about their chances of beating Florida on March 7th in Rupp Arena than I did going into that game. I think Florida is a great team, Matt. I don't know what they'll be ranked when the AP poll comes out today, but they're great. Like, they're a really, really good team. I think, and I'm checking this right now because I'm pretty sure KenPom had them like in the top. Yeah, they're fifth, and I think they were fourth going into that game, and the Houston jumped them. But they're going to play themselves up to a high 2 seed. I don't think they can get up to a 1 at this point with 6 losses, but they're probably going to get a 2 seed. They're really, really good, and they're especially good when they hit 10 threes. If you had told me that Kentucky would be able to hold the front court, or at least Malachi would have been able to at least tame some of their bigs, I kind of would have thought maybe Kentucky would have won the game. If you had told me that Florida shot as many threes as they did, which was 28, I would have thought, well, did Kentucky pull off the upset? But they didn't because Florida's guards dominated. Matt, you heard us talk all week about how Kentucky would have the advantage at the guard spot. And what happened? The Florida guards dominated.
Didn't Xavier Lee have like 20 points at halftime?
Xavier Lee was on fire. I couldn't believe it. His 4-3, which made him start 4 for 4 from 3, which was just like, okay, well, so that's just how this game's going to go, was a step-back 3 off balance, and he buried it. And it was a huge 3. That was a big point in the game, big point in the second half after Kentucky had battled back. But the big one was off the bench, and this is their best percentage three-point shooter, I believe, Urban Klavzor. I'm going to mispronounce his name. I went through the pronunciations before our rapid reaction on Saturday to get it right, and I don't even remember what it was. But can we just call him by his first name? Because we're not going to talk about him very much, Matthew. Is that okay? Is that unprofessional?
I think we all know who you're talking about.
Yes. Number 7, Urban. 7 of 13 from the field, 5 of 11 from 3. And how he kept getting open looks, he averages only 5 threes. He only takes 5 threes a game. He makes like 2. If he shoots his average, if he only gets 5 threes off, Kentucky, unless he makes all 5 of them, Kentucky actually might win the game. But he's able to squeeze off 11. And I know that was part of the strategy, was to force Florida into shooting a lot of threes. But I didn't think they would make 10 of them. And if they do that, and this was a quote from Alex Condon, he said, when we hit 10 threes, I don't think anyone in the country can play with us. And I absolutely believe that. They'll beat anybody. If they can get that kind of production out of Xavier Lee, if they can get that kind of production out of our number 7, who played 29 minutes and scored 19 points, then yeah, that might be one of the top 4 teams in the country. That's a Final Four team. They came in. Matt, do you know where Florida ranked nationally coming in with three-point shooting?
Not very high, I know that.
350th. That's crazy.
Yeah, it's really bad.
And they made 10 threes. And that was the game. So Kentucky rolled the dice, got unlucky. Now, Florida's better. I'm not saying that Florida lucked their way into a 9-point win. They were up 10-2 before we even got settled into our seats on press row. Florida went up immediately 10-2. They were up 8. But then the rest of the half, it's as TJ trademarked, the buffer zone. It was a 6-10 buffer zone game until about 9:30 to play. And right then, it's a 10-point game. Kentucky's battling. They're getting it's between 6 to 10 points around this time. Kentucky misses. Florida scores. Now it's a 10-point game. Yelovich has the ball on a third. It could have been a third opportunity to score to try to cut it to 8. He gets the ball taken away. He was trying not to get tied up. The ball pops loose. Florida comes down, hits a 3. Now it's a 13-point game. Jasper brings the ball across the half-court line, is going to call timeout. Before he can do that, he gets the ball stripped. That leads to a dunk, 15-point deficit. And at that point, Matt, 32-17, I just thought, okay, well, Florida might win by 30. They have 32 points. There's 9.5 to play in the first half. Hell, they might score 60 points in the first half. I was like, we're just going to run into a buzzsaw. But to Kentucky's credit, Mark Pope calls timeout, and they actually hold Florida scoreless for 10 or 12 possessions straight. They go 5 minutes without scoring a single point. And Kentucky gets it down to 4. They end up trailing by 9 at the break. And that felt like a win, Matt. We're only down 9. There's been tougher deficits. I don't feel great about it. But they come right out of the half with a 7-0 run. It's 43-41. And then whistles started blowing. Now, we'll talk about this maybe in the second segment. It was not the officials. Florida's better. They are. I have no problem admitting that. They're better. But the fourth foul on Malachi was tough. Condon backs up into Malachi like he's gonna post him up. He feels Malachi's hands on him, and he just throws himself forward. and the official fell for it. Good play by Condon. It's Malachi's 4th foul, and that was pretty much it. But what happens after that is Florida gets an and one. Then they hit it. Then that's when Xavier Lee hits his next 3, and before you know it, the lead is ballooned again to double digits. And there was a totally different Kentucky team when Malachi was on the floor and when he wasn't.
The only thing I will kind of combat you on that.
Yeah, absolutely. Push back. That's what I like about you.
The only situation is with Malachi. And I feel like, especially when you are playing on the road, Malachi Moreno got into foul trouble extremely early in this game. He had 3 really dumb fouls in the first half.
The third one was really dumb.
Really bad fouls in the first half. And now, credit to him, he's done this throughout the season of if he gets into foul trouble, he usually adapts his play a little better to keep himself in the game because Mark Pope knows that you need Malachi in the game to win these basketball games. And he did a really good job of extending his play long enough without fouling again, but also impacting the game, not just letting dudes just run by so he doesn't foul him. But it's also one of those where once you get into foul trouble early, you should know that one part of the game plan, especially when you're playing against a guy like Todd Golden, is going to be, look, even if we miss on a couple straight possessions, we're going to force Malachi to do something stupid.
Yes.
Like, I don't care if we go 7 straight possessions without scoring. You keep taking it into him. He will make a mistake. And it's just one of those where when you're Malachi, it's not Malachi's fault. You're in a tough position because you've already set this precedent that you fouled too much early. Now, on the other end, the officials are looking for it more. Whereas, like, you're right, the one that he got this 4th foul, and maybe in a different game where he only has 1 or 2 fouls at that moment, that doesn't get called. But he had 2 or 3 really stupid ones early on. The rest of the game, the refs are looking at you.
And I do think
I didn't agree with it, but you kind of set that precedent yourself early on by making those bad mistakes.
Yeah, and there is, I think, a benefit of the doubt given to the team that is known for being more aggressive, whereas the team that isn't is the one who gets called for fouls, ironically.
Yeah.
You know?
Louisville does that. It happens to Louisville every game.
Yeah,
I'm like,
you're very familiar with that.
I sit here and I watch us play, and I'm thinking, dude, if you guys just took it into people's chests or you played hyper, I don't care if you get 4 quick fouls in the game. If you assert yourself as the physical identity in this game, you're going to benefit down the stretch.
I've said, why don't coaches just go on every press conference and say we're a very physical team, we play physical, just to get the media writing about how physical they play.
I think that the refs actually take notes when you say that. They're like, oh, there's another one.
Yeah, they played physical, so we'll be
Don't worry, coach, we got you next time.
Right. The that was the big turning point of the game. I thought Malachi's 4th foul, but you're right. His 3rd foul, he misses a bunny that he should have just dunked it, but he misses that one. And then he's frustrated, so he commits a foul 94 feet away from the basket, which put Florida in the 1-1. Now I think they missed the front end of that bonus.
Yeah.
So you didn't give up any points there, but it was huge. It took Malachi out of the game. That was in the first half. So he had 3 fouls going into halftime, and the 4th one obviously big. And then when he comes back in, I noticed that he's being careful and more selective about how he goes after rebounds. Now he's putting hands straight up on defense, and he's being a little less aggressive. Now later on in the game, he did ramp up the intensity because, hey, you're going to lose anyway if you don't. So, but Florida got a couple buckets because he's trying to avoid not fouling. And so, yes, that was big, and he's got to figure out how to he's too valuable to this team. I mean, there is a clear difference. Kentucky needed Brandon Garrison to play the kind of game that he had been playing the last couple of games against Oklahoma and against Tennessee. He was great in both of those. And against Tennessee, I think he had 7 rebounds. Kentucky needed that out of Brandon Garrison on Saturday, and unfortunately, you got the Brandon Garrison that we've kind of seen for a majority of the season. He had 3 rebounds. He did have an assist, but he also had 2 turnovers, and one of those turnovers was crucial. It was a 5-point game. Kentucky's battling. I mean, that's the thing that I can say about this game, and what I've been able to say about this team recently is that they're fighting. I mean, even as the Florida lead ballooned to 16 points, this Kentucky team would not go away, and they can continue to battle and claw and fight. And the next thing you know, there's 36 seconds left, and it's 88-83, and you're like, I mean, maybe Florida throws the ball away here. Maybe they give you a free one. They're not that kind of team that makes crazy mistakes like that, and they didn't. But you're just you're right there. If you get a steal and a layup, you get a steal and a three. Hey, this comes down to free throws. Unfortunately, Kentucky wasn't able to get a turnover there. I think who did Kentucky end up fouling? Oh, that was the one where they didn't want to foul Xavier Lee, and they called the foul on I forget it. They don't have it here. They called the foul on, but I don't think that's who they wanted to foul, and they called it on Kentucky anyways because they wanted to make Lee at least have to make one pass and get it to somebody else. And they end up fouling Lee. He goes to the line, makes both, and that was a 7-point lead with 30 seconds left. The game was over.
This game, I think, told a lot about this Kentucky basketball team in positives and some negatives together. Positives that, I mean, you could play with a team like Florida on the road. That's a positive takeaway no matter what. You had guys like Denzel Aberdy and Colin Chandler step up when you really need them to. The negative for me in this game, I had been saying it for a while. And Kentucky had one going in this, what? It was an 8 of 9 or 9 of 10?
It was 8 of 9.
Okay. In all of those matchups, the one thing that stuck out to me was you were kind of banking on Otega-Oweh getting 20-plus points. You were kind of banking on Otega, which, I mean, he's possibly SEC Player of the Year. You should be expecting that kind of output from a guy of that caliber. You should. But if you look back at the games they've played this season, almost all of the games that Kentucky has lost, good or bad, Otega-Oweh has scored less than 20 points.
Yep.
And it's one of those where, okay, yes, you do expect kind of numbers like that out of him being the preseason SEC Player of the Year, like I just said, but that's not something you should be banking on. You know, at some point, this team needs other people to step up and fill it, because he's not going to have a great game every time. This game, he was 4 of 14. He didn't make it. He was 0 for 3 from the three-point line. He was 5 for 7 free throw. But Colin Chandler kind of does his little step-up part. You know, he averages like 9 points a game, but he gets 18 in this game.
Mm-hmm.
But nobody else really steps up individually or changes their game plan. Like, it's all kind of exactly their averages. I'm still not understanding why Yelovich is starting. I'm not getting it. It was a fun experiment for a little bit, but he doesn't do anything really for you. 3 turnovers, gave you 4 boards and 7 points. But if he's only going to play 17 minutes, why is that guy not coming off the bench? You know what I mean? Like, well, what's the point? What is he gaining in this starting lineup? Who's out there that's saying, I need to play with Yelovich on the floor or else I'm just not going to play my best game?
Yeah, he's a threat at least to shoot from 3. I think he hit 1 on Saturday. I got the stats below.
He shot 2. 1 of 2.
Yeah.
I understand that he is a threat, but if you're going to be a threat, this is I'm going to compare this to Louisville one more time.
Okay.
This is the exact thing I was saying with Ali Khalifa at the start of the season. We all knew that Ali could shoot moving in when he came to Louisville. That was a big thing. He's a he's a facilitator, he's a shooter.
Yeah.
Doesn't have a pretty jump shot, but he can make them. But he was not a threat at all during the season because he just didn't shoot. He just he had no volume. He'd shoot 1 or 2 shots a game.
Yeah.
That's with Yelovich. We all know he can shoot, but people are not afraid of him because he doesn't.
Early on, he shot I would say too much. Like because he's 6'11". So he shoots over guys, and I thought, okay, he can get a shot off whenever. Well, I thought he was shooting too much to start the season. And you're right, now he maybe doesn't shoot quite enough. He's shooting 31.3% from 3 on the season now, 49% from the field. But I'll tell you where he kills you, Matt, is on defense and on rebounding. He gets out-muscled a lot. He also had 3 turnovers. And some of those were they just take the ball away from him. He is not very physical down low, and it hurts Kentucky for sure. And that is where, Mohamed Diabate didn't start, but he played 25 minutes compared to Andrea's 17. I think that your best lineup now probably does include Mohamed Diabate. I wanted Andrea to work out, and he still might. I mean, I think he's still considered a freshman, even though he's older.
He's still definitely, he's really great in the paint. He's got a lot of length. He can stretch the floor really well. I think before, you were right. He did shoot a little too much. He needs to shoot more than this.
Yeah.
You're going through the same motions that when Trent Noah's on the floor, where Trent Noah we know can shoot,
but he can't get open.
Yeah. Andre Yelovich, there are genuine opportunities that you're about 7 foot tall. You can shoot over your defender. You need to be shooting more.
Yeah.
Or else we need to find somebody like Mo Diabate more minutes.
Yeah, and that's where I think that's where Mark Pope is going now. Is Mohamed Diabate is just he's gonna play more, and I thought he was pretty good. He's actually been kind of an underrated or People aren't really talking about him or Denzel Aberdeen as much as we should. Denzel, he shot 21 times, but I thought he played fine on Saturday. And Mohamed Diabate has been like really good for Kentucky as of late. He's passing the ball more out of the paint, which was a criticism that was given to him from his old coach. And he's I trust him on defense. He's good at getting second chances for Kentucky. I wish he would finish some of those around the rim when he gets fouled, because I feel like on a few of them on Saturday, he also got called for some fouls that I did not agree with. But we'll talk more about that. We are due for a break. We got a lot more to talk about from this game, getting you prepared for the Cats and the Dogs tomorrow. And Matt, there's some breaking news from the NFL.
Sorry to hear it.
And it involves my Miami Dolphins. We'll talk about it when we come back. You're listening to Kentucky Roll Call on the Big X, 1450, 96.1. to Kentucky Roll Call here on the Big X Sports Radio, 96.1, 1450 AM. Speaking of 96.1, we had to drive. We flew into Jacksonville, so we had to drive to Gainesville, Matt. And so I just, on our rental, I turned it on to 96.1 and said, oh, look, there's something playing on there. And it was the most random songs that were being played on this radio station. It was awesome. We loved it. There would be a song from like the 60s and then like a new hip hop song like that I hadn't heard yet. And it was like Michael Jackson, Man in the Mirror, and then Aerosmith, then TLC. And this is awesome. I don't know who's curating it over there at 96.1 down in Jacksonville, but they do a great job.
You think somebody just had their liked songs on Spotify just on shuffle and was like, they just weren't there that day? Maybe.
We listened to it at no, that's right. Yeah, the second day too. Yeah, on the way to the airport at 3:40 in the morning. Get your text into the Gameday Men's Health text line. Gameday Men's Health is redefining men's wellness. No shortcuts, just results. Testosterone, peptides, weight loss, and sexual performance therapy. Visit GamedayMensHealth.com. Defining a new era in men's health. Gameday Men's Health text line is 502-414-1450. We got a good text here. 270 number. That's my people, Matt. That's that Western Kentucky. He said he might be talking about me, so he might be criticizing me a little bit. But he said, "Who's the dude that clearly hasn't watched more than 5 minutes of UK breaking down the game? Yelovich was fine. He's the best defensive rebounder on the team, and he starts because Mo is zero threat offensively. Part of that is true. Like Mo Diabate, that's the trade-off, right? That when you have Andrea Yelovich out on the floor, it spreads the floor more, right? If he's playing the 4, you got to go out and guard him because he can hit that. Even though I've been waiting for Andrea to get on a heater all year. I love his form. I can't believe that more of his shots don't go in sometimes, and he's able to kind of shoot almost whenever he wants because he's 6'11". I didn't think he was very good on Saturday. I thought that he did get 4 offensive rebounds. He didn't get any defensive rebounds on Saturday. And that game just didn't really – it was too physical down low for him, I felt like. And it put Kentucky at a disadvantage on the defensive end. I don't put all my stock into the plus-minus stat, Matt. I feel like sometimes it's not totally reflective of how a player played. But he did have the second worst plus-minus on the team. He was minus 15. Jasper was minus 16. Now, to the texter's point, at least initially, and I do like when Andrea is out on the floor for everything I said earlier and how he stretches the floor. I trust when he shoots, I feel like it's going to go in because I like the way his shot looks. It's just weird to me. It's only gone in from 3 at least 31% of the time. I think if he comes back, like if you can keep Andrea Yelovich for 3 years, 4 years, whatever, I really believe in his ability to be like a high volume shooter and a big time scorer. I like the way he plays, and I think he's going to be a better passer too once he's been in the system, once he's been in Mark Pope's system for a year or two. But Mo Diabate and what he brought for Kentucky on Saturday. His plus-minus was +3. He was one of 4 Kentucky players with a positive plus-minus, and that game suited him more. So I do think it's about matchups, Matt. Does that make sense? Like Andrea for a game that's a little bit more finesse and more shooting, and we need to score a bunch of points. I mean, Florida scored 92, so they still scored a lot of points. But you get what I'm saying. When the game is being played on the perimeter, let's go with Andrea. When you're worried about what they do in the interior, then go with Mo Diabate.
Yeah, I mean, basketball itself is a game of matchups.
Sure.
That's what it is. Like there, especially with people like Pat Kelsey's one of them as well. Todd Golden's one of them as well. Mark Pope is one of them. Who you could see different starting lineups game in and game out based on the depth they have, because those are 3 teams that do have a lot of depth. Kentucky's depth this year obviously has kind of dwindled due to injury, unfortunately. But the point I'm making is, if I don't mind Andrea Yelovich starting, they've had success with him starting, but if he's going to be out there, he needs to give you more than 4 shots. He needs to give you more than 4 rebounds, which he gives you 4 offensive rebounds in this game. That's great, and I agree with the texter. He's a great rebounder. But are you telling me that nobody coming off the bench is going to give you a higher volume of output than what Andrei Yelovich has given you, and he's only playing 17 minutes. So I'm just not understanding what's the point of having that guy, having him start if he's going to have the least amount of minutes. By the second least amount of minutes is Malachi. Malachi is an outlier though, because he got those 3 fouls early. He he didn't get to play the full game as he normally would. Everybody else is above 30.
Mm-hmm.
So it's one where, he had a decent night from what he shot. In that kind of game, you'd think Mark Pope would say, hey, get in there. I need you to start throwing the rock more. I need you to start, being a little more effective. I need you to start playing in the game, being a little more effective within the game. But he also played only 17 minutes. So it's one of those where I'm not dogging on Yelovich. I'm sitting here saying, if he's in there, he needs to be doing more. But why is he in there so early if he's not playing the similar amount of minutes as everybody else? It's not. I'm not comprehending, especially because I think Mo Diabate is just as good of a rebounder as Andrei Yelovich is.
Yeah, probably a little bit better.
It's one of those where if we're saying that Andrei Yelovich needs to be on the floor that long because he's a good rebounder, I'm going to argue that Mo Diabate needs to be on the floor more than him then, because that's just a bigger body. He's better defensively. It's nitpicking stuff. It's nitpicking stuff. And the texter also mentions that Moreno, his fouls were off the ball. Any foul off the ball is not a good foul.
Yeah, I think maybe what he's arguing is that they shouldn't have been called.
That you can make that argument. That's fine.
I was actually trying to look up what the over 40 minutes, what the averages were for rebounding and see the difference. Because Mo Diabate does have more rebounds, but he's also played a lot more minutes than Andrea has. And again, I'm not hating on Andrei Yelovich. I do think he provides a ton of value to the team. I thought Saturday wasn't one of his best games, and that's okay. Everybody's had a bad game. Brandon Garrison, I didn't think played well, and of course Jasper had the lowest plus minus on the team. Jasper did hit 2 threes, and man, he's good for a bank 3, like every other game or so. So Jasper's another one too, where I was hoping, Matt, that by mid-February, Jasper would be a lot more serviceable than this. He hasn't been like just awful. He only took 2 shots and he made them both. That's pretty efficient.
Yeah, it was a rough game for Jasper. I feel like one instance you could just tell this was not going to be his game.
Yeah,
was when he was taking up the floor. He was about to go try and get a timeout called, and then gets picked by Boogie Fland.
That was huge. Yeah,
that was one of those where that's just like a dumb freshman mistake. He
looked over at Mark Pope instead of just get across the half court line.
Just get across the half court line. Yes, it's on him, but that was just the moment in the game you could tell this was not his game. He needed to come out. We needed to find it from somewhere else, and unfortunately, Kentucky just doesn't have any more point guards. So you got Denzel Aberdeen playing 34 minutes.
Yep.
Where, this is not his best game, but it was good. He went 8 for 21, 1 for 6 from 3. It seemed like every bucket he had was in a really tough moment and was a really big bucket to have. Like I said, it wasn't his best game, but it was a good enough game to keep you in it. It's one of those where I can sit here and dog on the rotations, and I could dog on this person needs to put up more volume. At the end of the day, you just can't have 3 guys in 30 minutes and then 1 guy coming off the bench. Only 2 people on the bench even scored. Trent Noah played 3 minutes. He didn't shoot anything. He committed 1 foul and got 1 rebound.
Mm-hmm.
Brandon Garrison played 17 minutes. He only took 1 shot. He got 3 boards and an assist and 2 turnovers. So, that was kind of cancel each other out. He got a block. He got 2 blocks. That's good. Jasper Johnson obviously got 6 points off of 2 shots. That's decent. But it's one where if you're a Kentucky fan and you're wanting this team to do something in March, that doesn't mean go all the way to the Final Four, but make the second weekend. You really need to see some of these guys who are coming off the bench not only play at a higher volume, but play at a higher efficiency.
Yeah, absolutely. But I agree with what you said in the first segment about Otega Owe. Kentucky is going to go as far as Otega Owe takes them, obviously. That's he had a bad game. And it's going to be really difficult for Kentucky to win when Otega has a bad game. I know what you're saying, Matt. You can't rely on him to score 20. Well, at least against good teams, he's going to have to.
Yeah.
He cannot go 4-14, 0 for 3 from 3.
And I'll give credit to Colin Chandler because Florida's essential identity in this game was early on making Otega Oweh uncomfortable.
Yeah, that was the game plan. Todd Golden said that.
Taking him away from the game, making him uncomfortable. You know you're not going to stop him from scoring at all, but you're going to make his supporting cast win the game. And they almost did. Denzel Aberdeen still has 19. Colin Chandler has one of his better games with 18 points at 5 or 7 from 3. That's one of those games where it's like if you're playing against a Cameron Boozer or you're playing against an AJ DeBonsa, where it's like, okay, look, this guy will be a top 2 pick in the draft.
Yeah.
We're going to stop him as much as we can. We're going to make everyone else beat you. You're going to need to see Colin Chandler step up. You're going to need to see Malachi Moreno step up. You're going to need to see you guys like Yelovich step up. And it almost gave me the feeling of Kentucky wasn't ready for Otega Oweh to not have 20-plus points. You know what I mean? Like, some guys, like Colin Chandler obviously stepped up to the plate, and he had a really good game. I think this is one of his better games.
Offensively. He was great. Defensively, he may hit some breakdowns.
That's kind of been Colin Chandler this season, unfortunately, but this was one of his better offensive games, and this is a game where you give up 92 points, you need to have an offensive efficiency at a high rate.
Yep.
But it was one of those where you made a good point, and I agree with you that Kentucky needs to learn that when you're playing against these national title contenders and these teams that are aimed to make a deep run in March, their goal now, the tape is out, is, hey, we just take Otega Oweh away. If we got to keep him at the free throw line, we keep him at the free throw line. If we got to double team him, we got to double team him. But you're going to make dudes like Colin Chandler win the game, and that gives these other teams a better advantage.
Yeah, and I think that's going to be the game plan. It has been the game plan. I just think it's easier said than done to try to limit what Otega can do because
I agree with that.
Otega is just a really good basketball player.
His best ability is taking advantage of you and getting to the rim no matter what and getting to the free throw line.
Getting to the free throw line, which he was able to do, 7 times?
7 times.
And he made 5. A lot of missed layups. Not just from Otega Oweh, but from Kentucky in general. They missed 15 layups.
You're playing against the longest and arguably the best front court in the country. That stuff is
big part of it.
That stuff is going to happen.
Yes.
I feel like nobody should have came into this game thinking we're going to hound the paint and we're going to really assert our dominance. It's just not going to. They have 5 dudes who can come off the bench and be effective in the paint.
No, 100%. Like I said, Florida's a great team. I think Kentucky is good and sometimes very good. They're not great. They can beat a great team. That's how I came away from this game. My big picture take was Kentucky can beat a great team. But what they have to do it is they cannot get in foul trouble. You cannot have 3 of your starters playing with 4 fouls. Brandon Garrison fouled out. Mohamed Diabate played with 3 fouls for a lot of the game. Even Andrea Yelovich had 3 fouls. I know late in the game they're fouling and they're trying to extend the game, but a lot of these guys played in foul trouble for a lot of the second half. Florida was in the bonus within 5.5 minutes. You can't foul as much as Kentucky did, and I'll talk about. I'm actually going to save that, Matt, for the second hour. My little breakdown of how the fouls distribution, some of the calls went, and my favorite study that has ever been done in sports, and what it means for what it meant on Saturday, but you also you got to have better game from Otega to beat a great team. 9 of 20 from 3, I'll take that. That's perfect. That's above the 8 threes in a game that I think you need to have to beat good to great teams if you're Kentucky. And they got to the free throw line 25 times. I'll take that. For Kentucky to beat a great team, they cannot make some of the mistakes that they made. They have to almost play not necessarily flawless, but pretty close to it to punch above their weight and beat a team like Florida, especially on the road. But it showed me that, hey, that's not impossible. This isn't impossible. They can beat Florida on March 7th. Maybe they won't, but I definitely think that they can. That's what I got from this game. And if you want to make a Sweet 16, Kentucky, to do that, is probably going to have to beat a very good team because their seed is, right now, what is it, a 6? So you're going to play a 3 in the second round if you're able to get past the first round. You're most likely to play a 3. That's going to be a very, very good team. We've talked about it. We talked about it last week about the top 3 seeds no matter what region you're in, they're all going to be really good. There is a difference between the 1 seed and the 2 seeds this year, but between 2 and 3, maybe not so much. So you'll probably have to beat a team close to what Florida is to do that. But at least I know that, okay, they can. They weren't. I know this was a 9-point loss, but I saw enough on Saturday to make me believe that Kentucky can beat a great team. If they're going to try to make it to the Elite Eight, obviously that's going to have to happen. So I came away with it feeling better than I did when I arrived in Gainesville. We talked about. I talked with some people down in Florida about how Denzel Aberdeen was going to be treated. Because Matt, I just wondered, Denzel won them a title. He was on the floor. Now he missed a free throw late that could have ended up costing them, but it didn't. But he was on the floor in those final seconds as Florida won the national championship. I figured he would get booed anyway, but let me ask you this, because I kind of have some ambivalence about this. Let's say that a Louisville player wins a national championship and then transfers and he comes back and plays against you. Do you think he's getting booed, or do you think they kind of like, hey, thank you for winning a national title?
He's getting booed.
Getting booed?
He's getting
yeah, that's probably going to happen everywhere.
You reached the pinnacle of college basketball, and you definitely, and like you said, it's going to happen anywhere. You could be at UConn, you could be at Houston. You win a national championship with that team, and that team, obviously, you say you want to come back to college basketball, they are going to give you a bag. They want to try and retain as many national championship players they had last season as possible, especially in a guy like Denzel Aberdeen, who, like you said, was on the floor a significant amount for them in the tournament, especially in the national championship game. You left because Kentucky probably wants to give you a little bit more money.
Yeah.
It's worked out.
But he won you a title.
But you still left. You basically look. This is like I said. I want to preface this by saying it's not because it's Kentucky. I know that when I say it, people are going to think that it's anywhere in the country. You win a national title. I agree with you that you should be proud of that and you should thank them for that.
Yes,
but when you leave the school you won a national title for to the school who has the highest payroll in college basketball, you put a target on your back saying all I wanted was the money.
Of course he.
Because I don't blame him either. He already won the national championship.
Yeah, he won them a title. When the Cubs, I know that a lot of it was just how it happened, but when the Cubs won the World Series in 2016, and then I think it was 21, all those guys were traded away. I thought all those players got cheered when they returned to Wrigley Field, and the Anthony Rizzo, who went to the Yankees, like one of the highest payrolls in Major League Baseball, and got paid more. I don't know. I think he did, but I don't know for that for sure. I was still like, hey, you won us the World Series. You can do whatever you want. Go to whatever team you want to. You can go to the Cardinals. All of you all could go to the Cardinals. I don't care. You're forever Cubs to me because you were part of a championship winning team, and that I feel like that's how I would like. Let's say Kentucky wins the national title this year, just for fun. Can we dream, Matt? All right. Mo Diabate holding up the championship trophy, and then next fall
goes back to Alabama.
He's at Alabama with Nate Oates.
He's getting booed.
Yeah, man, I understand. I understand and I'm not saying that fans shouldn't do that, but I would be more like, dude, we've won 9 national titles now in the entire history of the program, and you were on the team that did it. Oh, dude, go get your money, man. If you can get paid somewhere else and we can get a player to replace you, I'm totally cool with it. I wouldn't boo him. All right, we have a lot more to talk about here in Kentucky. Roll call on 96.1 1450. We'll be right back.
call.
I think we ain't done yet.
You personally.
I think we ain't done yet.
With Walker and Peak.
Welcome back to Kentucky Roll Call on the Big X 1450 96.1. I'm Stephen Peak, and across the brick wall, the cement wall, whatever this is Matt. Matt, I almost did it again. Isn't that crazy?
It happens.
Yeah. Matt, did I was gonna say real fast. I don't know. Are we on the YouTube?
Yes. Oh,
Okay.
did I forget to tweet it out?
No, that's okay. I was just asking because I thought that for the YouTube viewers they could see the visual here that I'm gonna hold up. Can you see the videos? Can you see it in real time, or is there a delay?
I mean, there's a little bit of a delay, but I have a viewfinder that shows me in real time.
Okay, so you can see what I'm showing you right here?
Yes.
Okay, that's perfect. All right. I know that doesn't work well over the radio, but I will explain it as the best to my ability because I do want to talk about one of my favorite studies that has ever been done when it comes to sports, and it's about home court advantage. And basketball has shown to be like the one sport with the biggest home court advantage. And I thought that was pretty evident by the game on Saturday. You're playing a great team. It's their second largest crowd that they have had since they did their renovations back in 2016. The Rowdy Reptiles were as rowdy as ever, and it was awesome. Like, the atmosphere was phenomenal. They did do the Don't Back Down, and they tell everybody, get your phones out. And they know to get their phones out, and then they say, all right, everybody, sing along. Like, they're telling the crowd what to do, which I absolutely love. I think people sometimes have to be told what to do. They have to be encouraged to participate. Otherwise, they're going to feel weird. They don't want to be the one person singing along at the top of their lungs while no one else around them is doing it. So I thought that was cool. And the atmosphere was top-notch. It was one of the best that I've seen. I cannot believe the O-Dome only holds 11,000. Or just above 11,000, because that place is so big. There's 3 levels of stands, and it just looks so much bigger. It actually looks bigger than Arkansas's arena, and Arkansas holds like 15. But the reason I bring that up, Matthew, is because these research guys, let's see, they are the authors of the book Scorecasting, Tobias Mauskowitz and John Wortham. See, man, can we get people with, I am so bad at name pronunciation. Maybe I'm bad at reading. Maybe I shouldn't even be doing this. They talked about home court advantage in basketball. And they looked at several things to roll it out. First, travel. There's really nothing that proves that traveling has any effect. Like they looked at Duke, North Carolina, for example, like that series. How many times do you think, well, I guess you wouldn't know this without knowing how many times they played each other, but they've played 62 times. Duke has played North Carolina 62 times in Chapel Hill. How many of those do you think they've won?
They've played 62 times.
Their record at home is 32-29. Duke has won 32. North Carolina has won 29. How many has Duke won on the road out of 62?
30.
21.
Oh.
Pretty significant. And as a matter of fact, Duke, when they lose to Wake Forest, the only times that they lose are when they're at Wake Forest. And same thing with Louisville, Kentucky. Out of the last, 17 years or so, the only times that Kentucky loses to Louisville is when it's in Louisville. And so there's those are not, that you're not staying overnight on either of those trips. Travel has nothing to do with it. Then they looked at, what about playing in different arenas? So they looked at the LA Clippers and the LA Lakers. They play in the same arena. The sightlines are the same. But whoever is designated as the home team wins more often. And even though it's in the same building. So what they discovered was the only reason that there is a home court advantage is because of the crowd, but not on how they affect the players. Free throw percentage doesn't change. Field goal percentage drops slightly, but that's only because players get in foul trouble and you have to play your secondary guys more. And the one thing the crowd does have an effect on, Matt, can you guess at this point?
Officiating?
The officiating. The only reason, this is what the researchers' conclusion was, that basically the only reason that there is a home court advantage in basketball is because of referee bias. And what it is the, what do they call it? Intrinsic recognition. So basically when the crowd cheers and boos, you're subconsciously feeling that as an official. And so you want to make the crowd happy because you get positive feedback. You just naturally want more positive feedback. So you know what makes people happy and what makes people upset. So you try to avoid doing the things that makes people upset. So it becomes psychologically harder to whistle a 50-50 call against the home team, knowing what the repercussions would be. And I thought it was interesting that they found that traveling calls, 3 seconds, some of these, they're not subjective, but they're rarely called. 25% more of the time is called against the visiting team than it is the home team. Now, that is all over college basketball, and it's even they looked mostly at the NBA, and the NBA was very clear, and that's the NBA, where they're graded. Like, referees are given a grade. They're, like, publicly scrutinized by the league, even. Well, it's college basketball with all of the officials that you have to cover a Saturday in college basketball. They're definitely not monolithic, and some are going to be a lot worse than others. They're not given full year training, so a lot of it is going to come down to their biases. And I think that's very, very interesting. And it's why I no longer get worked up about bad calls on the road, because I just know, like, that's what's going to happen. It's a given. There's I think they discovered nearly, like they said, that the road advantage was originally 3.4 points, or the home court advantage was 3.4 points. What the researchers are suggesting is that it's probably a lot more than that when you factor in guys getting in foul trouble, leading to them not playing as many minutes. There's really no way to give it a number. There's no way to say that, oh, well, it's a wide range and it's up to double digits what playing on the road is as opposed to playing at home, and the difference between the two. I find that stuff fascinating. This book, I've read it a couple times because there's so many little things that they have. There's so many different studies that they've done that prove all kinds of different things in sports, and it kind of changes the way I watch sports a little bit. Because I was a little frustrated about the foul calls and them being in the bonus within 5 minutes of the second half and the 17-9 foul discrepancy in the second half. But that's just the way it is on the road. You don't have to play any road games in the tournament technically. But I just know that's why it's going to be infinitely harder. So hopefully, Matthew, we get all those calls in Rupp on March 7th, and then Kentucky can win by 9.
This leads me to a question, and you and I kind of discussed it before we went on air.
Okay.
But I didn't end up getting your answer to this.
All right.
If we had a world where not just basketball, but in sports in general could be 100% accurate every single time, if there's a call to be made, if there's a decision to be made, you always know it is the correct decision. You can't argue it. Do you prefer that, or do you prefer the human error aspect?
Yeah,
there's the argument that sports are human error, and human error is sports, and you can't have genuine competitiveness without human error.
Yeah, I hear both sides of that, but there's certain times when I'm like, you let that call go, like you let a little bit more physicality at the end of the game go, because like in basketball, I don't want to see a game decided at the free throw line. Like that's the most boring way to end the game. So I just want players to know, hey, you're going to have to play through contact. I also don't want late games where teams just drive to the basket and they know that that they could get fouled. I don't like that. I want them to like have to make a play. I also don't want Michael Jordan called for a push-off in 1998. Like I want them to have to play through a little bit of physicality. So like we were talking about robot umpires and robot referees, and this is another thing this book did. It actually showed how the strike zone adjusts to certain counts. If it's a 3-0 count, the strike zone widens. If it's an 0-2 count, the strike zone shrinks. And you kind of do want that. I understand where you're like, well, if it's a strike, it's a strike. I don't care. But a human umpire and a human referee are able to take in the context of the game and the context of what's happening. And I actually do like that better. We talked about the offside rule in soccer, and when you watch Premier League, like, you can't even celebrate half the time when your team scores because you're just waiting to go to VAR.
Yeah, you gotta wait the VR check.
Yeah, and you gotta. Oh, it's if we zoom in all the way where there's 2 pixels, you can see where he's offside, and it's okay. Well, then what? How many goals should have been taken away? How many should have been taken away from the last before they had VAR?
I understand that we're just never going to have competitive sports be entertaining without there's just always going to be a little bit of human error in there, whether it's somebody started the clock a 0.2 seconds too late, or maybe this umpire has a different angle than that umpire, so it has to go to review, and there's an argument. There's always going to be that stuff. But I truly believe that we are at this point in sports, and VAR, you brought up, is a great example, because that is a situation where they've kind of figured out how to get it perfectly every single time, and people hate it, right?
Yeah.
Now, that was flawed. Like you said, you get a pixel offsides, like, well, it's offsides, take the goal away. Now they've adjusted it to where your whole body has to be offsides, and it makes it more, there's more leeway now. There's more leeway, and it should be that way. But I am on the side where we have the technology to fix so many issues in sports, but we continuously refuse to do so because of the idea of human error is just in sports. That's just how it is. Like, there should never, ever in football we should never be confused on where the first down marker is, or if something's a first down, or if it's a touchdown. That should literally never be a conversation. We should be able to go look at one replay and be like, well, this area of the ball it crosses this line right here, that's a touchdown. It crosses this line right here during his run, that's a first down. We shouldn't have to worry about some guy 10 yards away from the play on top of a pile of 30 guys making a guess of where the ball is.
Yeah, I agree with that. Like, those kind of things, absolutely. I'm fine with moving on to...
That stuff is fine. I don't want robot 100% referees reffing the game, but in those senses. Or with this year, is it this season they're bringing up the pitch review? I forgot what it's called. They hadn't made in minor league baseball all season this past year.
So are they bringing that to?
I have to figure that out. I know that they've talked about bringing it up. I know that in AAA and minor league, it's been throughout the whole season. They've tested it out. So I'll have to look up and see if they'll bring it up or not. But that I'm okay with, because I feel like in baseball in general, we've seen so many issues where every umpire calls the game differently, and I think that's bad, because baseball is so unlike football or basketball, where there is a genuine set, these are the rules. Maybe this ref misses it every once in a while, but there should be no reason every umpire has a different strike zone. There should be no reason that I should have to coach my players and be like, well, Angel Hernandez is out here, get screwed.
Yeah. If Angel Hernandez is behind the plate, it could be anything.
It's one where, like you said, the first downs, touchdowns, and then I think the strike zone in baseball, those are things that we should have perfected at this point.
Yeah, those should be easy. And yes, the automated ball strikes challenge system for 2026 season. So they're able to challenge the calls.
Yes.
I guess. So
they still use umps, but when it goes back to the challenge, then that's when that stuff comes into play.
That makes sense. And that's to that point. Kentucky, I don't know if a play was challenged. It was on Mo Diabate. They were grabbing his jersey, pulling him down. He gets hit in the face. I think the Florida player just hit the ball into Mo's face. It's a loose ball foul, and they call it on Mo Diabate. So now Florida's going to get 2 free throws. Mo's going to get his 3rd foul. The game is still in the balance here. So you can go review it, right? And the referees go to the monitor, and they look at it, and it's obvious. You got the call wrong. But there's nothing you can do about it. You can't switch the foul to Florida. I've argued this for years. Why are certain things challengeable and other things are not? I'm fine. You only get a finite amount of challenges anyway, so it's not like we're going to be every single foul call. We're going to say, hey, we'd like to challenge that. And I know in a way, like a foul is sort of subjective in a way. You know what I mean? Like, are we calling it that tight or are we not?
Especially if it's somebody that's in the paint, it's two guys jostling for position. Like,
Yes.
there's always going to be a little bit of, well, this guy did this and that guy did that. Which one of them really affected the play the most?
Exactly. And I've hated the verbiage for overturning it. I've hated it. Well, there has to be indisputable evidence. No, there doesn't. No, it doesn't have to be like that. You know how we can do it? How about with the HD 4K cameras that shoot 240 frames per second, where we can watch it in super slow motion? How about we watch that and then we make a judgment call based on the better angles that we have, and not having to make a judgment call that happened, whether it was right in front of us or not is irrelevant. It's happening so fast. And I'll give referees more, like, they actually get it right way more than they get it wrong. Umpires in Major League Baseball are so good that there's going to be very few challenges per game. Because they're really, really good at this. There was one umpire a couple years ago who did a perfect game, didn't get a call wrong behind the plate. I don't know if it happened last year, but I know that year prior, it was one of the playoff games. He got a perfect game. These guys are really, really good. I just wish when you go to review something, and I wish, by the way, everything could be reviewed, even foul calls, because you're only getting 2, so it's not like it's going to fundamentally change the game.
It does. It annoys me about that aspect as well, because it takes it, for me, I feel like it's an egotistical thing for officials, where it's like these coaches would have us challenge everything we say and this and that. It's like, oh, okay, you only get 2, and that's if you win one of them, you know?
Right. Yeah.
So it's one of those where why even give the coaches a challenge if they can't sit there and challenge anything they want? Whereas, if you want a perfect example of this, we could look at volleyball. I don't know how many. I hope maybe people listening right now watch a lot of college volleyball.
I probably did this year.
College volleyball, you can genuinely challenge anything. Anything. And if you win, you get it back. You can have infinite challenges if you keep winning. If you keep winning the challenges, you get them back. And these are things that UK and U of L both do a lot, and it happens a lot in college volleyball, where you get your 2 timeouts per set. You also get your 2 challenges per set. But if you win those challenges, you get them back. If you win the challenges, it also doesn't cost a timeout. If you lose a challenge, it costs a timeout.
Yeah.
What coaches do down the stretch, if they're out of timeouts, they will start challenging garbage.
Huh.
They will challenge
Smart.
anything. Yeah. Because, one, they know that you'll watch it. You'll watch on TV. They'll challenge something, and they'll just immediately go to a huddle. They won't even.
It's just for the timeout.
They know it's not a look, and now the challenge only has 3 seconds. They watch the first review and go, challenge upheld, whatever. Yeah. But it gives them that 10 seconds.
Yeah, you basically get a 30-second timeout.
Calm everybody down, bring everybody back to level. But the thing is like, if that's what we're really afraid of in college basketball, in college football, or in the NBA, and then wherever you want to, what league, if that's what we're afraid of, that's a problem.
Yeah.
Because are we saying, like, one, I love that in volleyball.
Right.
Because, one, there's that, 10 seconds where, oh, they're challenging something. Did they see something we didn't see?
Yeah.
And you watch it, like, oh, it's just a timeout.
Yeah. Or you see it where it barely grazed the person's finger. And it's
exactly.
Like, how many of these calls got missed
I've seen
before this technology?
I've seen them get really lucky in terms of they thought that, the call was right, called it, and it ended up being their side. And they're like, well, glad I used that. Now I get another one. I get the argument that it slows the game down here and there, but if it slows the game down, make the right call.
Yeah, or again, you can limit it still to just 2 challenges. I do like that rule, and I think the women's, they are moving to 1 challenge, and you just don't. As long as you get it right, you get to keep it.
That's fine.
Yeah, I'd be okay with that.
Because, for example, with U of L, Dan Meskey is historically good at using challenges in terms of that man will throw them out at any moment in the game because he doesn't care if he wins them or not. He's like, this is a timeout for me.
Yeah, if only that technology existed in 1993, and Chris Webber could have called for a challenge instead of a timeout.
Challenge instead of a timeout.
Yeah.
Oh man.
But to your point, that's I watched that replay, and there is somebody behind the bench. There's some, I guess, grad assistant that has the iPad, and they're watching. So all they have to do is just back it up a second and get to see the play again, and then tell the coach whether they should challenge or not. You watch the Mo Diabate one, and why can't then the officials see that and go, okay, we clearly got it wrong. Foul on Florida, Kentucky basketball.
Wasn't it Kurt Signetti at JMU who brought the assistant coach's phone up to the ref and be like, see,
Yeah,
we need to review this?
Oh, speaking of getting mad at the officials, Oh, who was it? I'm blanking on. It's the radio guy who coaches basketball now. Doug Gottlieb.
Okay.
Did you see what he did?
When?
I think it was yesterday. Maybe it was late Saturday.
The last Doug Gottlieb news I heard was when he went off on the press conference about Ken Pom. Was about a week ago.
Oh, well, hey, we're going to talk about some Ken Pom. He had an epic rant. I think it was yesterday. It was a 3-minute long rant, and he dropped some F-bombs, and he's slamming the table. He got a technical foul. He ripped the officials, the Horizon League officials, and he was asking. He said, like, you had the exact same play on both ends in the last play of the game. The exact same blanking play. The exact, and he's just slamming the. It was great. It was great. See, here's what people we complain about SEC officials all the time, and I'm here to tell you, like, even the worst of the worst, even Doug Shows is just he's the best. Like, he's in the top 10 of officials in college basketball. Go watch mid-major levels, like, and have your and start betting on those games. Just bet on a mid-major game, and just see how infuriated you get. Just see how mad it makes you, because the officiating at the lower levels gets really bad. And like,
that's why betting on action football is so fun. I'm just going to tell you. Because you have no idea what's going to happen.
Yeah, it is bad. And I watched a lot of OVC basketball in my day, and now Missouri Valley Conference, and it's so much worse. And actually, I empathize with officials a little bit. That's not going to get many popularity points, but there's actually it's a big problem in the future, Matt. There's a huge, like, a massive shortage on officials.
Yeah.
Because nobody wants to do high school or even grade school games anymore because the parents are so bad. And then even as you work your way up the ranks, it just gets worse and worse and worse. And they're not making enough money to get the verbal abuse and the death threats that they get. So
no, they got full-time jobs to go back to.
Yeah, and that's the thing too. I've said, like, for the higher level, all those conferences, they need to be paying their officials more. You can afford it. You obviously can afford it. That needs to be. They need to have the kind of money where it's like, hey, this job is too important to risk gambling on games and potentially losing your job. This needs to be, and also the way you're criticized. I mean, we get some criticism, Matt, but typically I go home and aside from a few mean comments on social media or on YouTube, I don't really get very much criticism. Most of us don't with our jobs, and a referee won't work a day where he doesn't get screamed at by another adult.
I've always said this throughout my whole life. It's one of those things where you know you're a good ref or not based on if people know who your name is. Does that make sense?
Yes.
I know the names of some referees that I really shouldn't, and it's solely because they had one bad outing and I watched it, or two, they just have a history of bad outings. I should not be uttering the name Scott Foster more than I am in my lifetime. If I have to watch Scott Foster referee another Pacers playoff game, sometimes I will turn it off because I already know what the outcome's going to be.
Yeah, I do say that too. If I do not know your name as a referee, then you've probably done an okay job.
I want to go back to one thing we were talking about before. You mentioned the Fab Five.
Yeah. Which one? You talking about Rupp's Fab Five or?
Oh, I think we all know which one. I'm referencing.
All right.
But what if? So obviously with the challenging aspect, it's kind of the Wild West right now. They're still figuring out how they want to do this, how to make it as efficient as possible, where it doesn't slow down the game, but to give the teams their ample ability to challenge their calls and this and that. What if, to help officials out, and I think would help the teams and speed of play, what if we adjusted the rules to where when players spin their fingers in the air or coaches spin their fingers in the air, that's a binding contract as if a timeout is. Whereas, just like the Fab Five, if a player tees up his hand, that's a timeout called.
Yeah.
You're not allowed to do that in middle of a play because it could stop the play. Other players get confused.
Right.
I believe that after a play, if any player on the floor spins their finger in the air, you should be forced to go to a challenge.
Ooh.
It should be a binding contract.
Okay.
And therefore, that would stop the going to refs, talking about this needs to be reviewed, or coaches running over to the monitor saying, we need to look at this, we need to look at this. You throw it up in the air, it's a challenge.
What if you don't have any left? Is it a technical foul?
It's a technical foul. Same thing as a timeout. You don't got none. Sorry. Tough.
Okay. It also would, and I'm surprised they don't even do this, just because I feel like there are rules that are put in place to make sure there's not a ton of criticism on the officials. Like, you will get fined if you talk about them as a coach, right? So I'm sure Doug Gottlieb will be getting fined by the Horizon League at some point. We talked about, speaking of Doug Gottlieb, you said he had something to say about KenPom. I looked up KenPom before coming into the station today, and I just find it interesting. I get that Kentucky played Florida on the road, and that was always going to help, but it just blows my mind how Kentucky wins 8 of 9, and while they're winning these games, they're dropping in KenPom. They lose by 9, and they jump 5 spots. I get that what's factored in there is that they played Florida. I understand, but it's just so weird to me. Like, this is one of the major metrics that people look at when they seed the teams, right? So I know it all works out in the end once you played your full schedule and everything, but just tracking it week to week is interesting because it just doesn't reflect wins and losses. It really doesn't reflect how your team has been playing. And I know that part of the reason that the numbers still don't like them and Bart Torvik still doesn't like them is because they're winning so many close games. And so it's like, well, they could easily have lost this game, so I'm not going to value it as much. They're either getting blown out or they're winning close, so we don't think they're really that good. But it just, wins matter. So it's just interesting to me that really winning the games isn't what's valued week to week on some of these rankings.
Yeah, it's fun.
It's just fun. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, it's just fun to look at every week.
I constantly go back and forth about where we used to be and where we are now. Because remember, the entire tournament used to be based on RPI.
The rating percentage index.
And that was horrible.
Yeah, it was bad.
Like, you could have. I think this season would have been a really good season for us basically blowing up about how bad RPI is. Think about how many blowout wins and losses there have been this year. For every team in college basketball. Every team. Kentucky loses to Gonzaga. Gonzaga goes and loses to Michigan. Louisville loses to Duke. Louisville, there's so many blowout losses this season, whereas, like, when we did RPI, it did not matter about that at all. There was no metrics. It was, did you win or lose? And what was your strength of schedule at the end of the year? Well, they got blown out by 65 by Duke, but they beat the Murray State Racers, who are probably going to win their conference.
They are. Oh, yeah, they are.
I'm saying, let's say that's a really good Murray State team. Yeah, you get blown out by Duke by 60, but you beat Murray State, who's probably going to win their conference, and RPI just, they're 1-1.
Yes.
That's all it is. That's what it is. And we lived like that for forever. So I believe that the whole metric system with the net rankings and the KenPom and the Bart Torviks, I think that it's good for college basketball.
It's better. Yes, absolutely.
It's better for getting the seeds correct and getting your rankings correct. But the other part of it is there are flaws. And the flaws are, it's not about your win or loss really anymore. It's about what the projections think you can be and this and that based on your roster, based on the scoring output, based on your defensive output. And sometimes we've seen this year more than others in the past couple of seasons we've used these metrics that there's a lot of teams high on the metrics that I'm just like, I'm not understanding why these teams are up here. And there's a lot of teams that are low in the metrics that I'm thinking, I'm not getting why they're not higher. Like you mentioned multiple times that throughout the beginning of the season, when Kentucky was rough, that they were still high in the metrics. They were
the numbers
loved them. Top 25 in the metrics, so week in and week out. Kentucky starts winning, now they're top 40. Now they're dropping. It's one of those where if you're a casual basketball fan, you're not somebody who's really in depth, just knees deep in all these metrics. You are so confused as to what's going on, and that's my drawback on it. Is I feel like the RPI. I like the metrics better. The RPI made it more casual friendly and easier to understand. Whereas if you're not somebody like Ryan Hammer, somebody who just eats, breathes, and sleeps college basketball, this stuff makes 100% sense to you. But if you're somebody who just watches ball to watch ball, it's like, why is Kentucky dropping? We've won 8 of 9. You know what I mean? So
right.
I think in the terms of seeding the teams, it is a lot better than what we had. But for a regular season aspect, it's not the best system in the world.
Yeah, it's following it week to week isn't great, but I do think that it gives you a better representation of, and the seeding, since they've done the net rankings, I think has worked out better, as I mentioned on the show on Thursday, just about how you're getting more 1 seeds versus a 1 seed in the championship game, and that usually is an indication that you're getting the seeding right, that you're not, that's what you want. You want all 4 1 seeds making it to the Final Four. I think that proves you seeded everybody as close to correct as possible, because that's the whole point of it. If you're into 1 seed, you're supposed to make it to the Final Four, right? So that's an indication that they are getting better at putting the bracket together while using these tools. We have one final segment. Are you kidding me already? It's 1:34. I was worried we didn't have enough to talk about. We still have a lot more to get to. We had breaking news. A new AP poll is out.
We have some text to get to.
And a lot more text. Yeah, get into the Game Day Men's Health text line 502-414-1450. One final segment of Kentucky Roll Call coming up. to Kentucky Roll Call on the Big X, 96.1, 1450 AM. Stephen Peak, joined here with Matt Chambliss. We'll get that right, Matt. We'll do it. We'll get it right one of these days. I'm just gonna. Can I just call you that from now on?
No.
I like that pushback. I mean, like, you just got to get people's names right. Like, it's not even that hard.
Yeah.
Matt Childress is across the wall from me, and he's doing a great job. Matt, somebody made a point. I think it was Friday, and they said for a Louisville fan, Matt makes a lot of great points, and he has some of the best takes on the show. I got to tell you, I tend to agree. It's weird how much I enjoy talking like Kentucky Louisville stuff with a Louisville fan. I think Mike Rutherford would be another one that I could probably talk this without it being like, I don't know. I have a lot of Louisville friends, and things can get kind of petty sometimes.
Yeah, you start rivalrying.
Yeah, exactly. We do that. You and I, and TJ and you, we do it. But
it's fun, banter back and forth.
But you're bringing in like good takes, so it's more tolerable when you're not making typical dumb Louisville takes.
Well, okay, I appreciate that because like I really do try and look at everything as unbiased as possible. It's the one situation where I constantly, when I'm on here and I go home, and it's like I've said it 100 times on the show. There are times where when I say, especially when things were going really bad, right? Like earlier in the season when you're like losing Missouri and this and that, it gets to the point where if I say anything, even if you guys are saying the same thing, I get looked at as like, well, that's the Louisville fan talking, so I don't care what he has to say. You know what I mean? And it's like, so there are times where I try and when I'm giving criticism to Kentucky, it's not based on I'm a Louisville fan. I'm just this is what I watched.
Yeah.
This is what I saw. I do this. If you listen to me on any of the other shows, I do the same thing with Louisville. I'm hypercritical and everything. So for the person who did text that in, I really appreciate it, and I really appreciate you guys always letting me come on and let me.
Oh, we love your perspective.
Let me jump in whenever you want, whenever I want, and this and that. It's always fun. I love you guys, and I love the show. It's a lot of fun. I also want to preface that this is the first year I've watched Kentucky throughout my whole life. I have family that are Kentucky fans, friends are Kentucky fans, but this is the first year where it was like I made a living off of talking about it, so I watched it a lot more in depth. I watch every single game. I watch every breakdown. I try and keep up with all the press conferences. This is the first year where I've done that with Kentucky. Obviously, I've done it with Louisville my whole life, and the Patriots and the Pacers and all this stuff. It's been fun to get to see sports from the rivalry, outside the rivalry aspect, on a team that I, for my entire life, just really disliked. Does that make sense? It's a different perspective. It's a different way to look at the game, especially when they play each other. It's like, okay, well, I know more about this team than I almost do Louisville at this point because it's my job to watch this team. It's been fun. It's been fun, like watching, following along with the Wildcats. It's been fun. As much as can't stand them, as much as I hope they lose every single game. Sorry, Pete, just being honest. As much as when I watch them almost beat Florida, I get really angry. As much as when they beat Tennessee, I get really angry. It is fun to watch, and it's fun to talk with you guys about it. And I appreciate you, both of you guys, letting me come on and give my honest opinions about everything.
We appreciate it, Matt, for sure. Couple things to get through for the remainder of the show. The top 25 just came out as expected. Kentucky fell out of the top 25 after the loss to Florida and fell behind Clemson, Utah State, Tennessee, and Villanova for receiving votes. Kentucky got 15 votes in this week's top 25. Louisville.
Do you kind of feel like Kentucky was set up for this?
Yeah, we said it. We said they put them at 25th, so they better beat Florida, or it'll be a one and done week.
I didn't think that they deserved to be like 23rd or 20th. Like up there in the low 20s.
I did. You won 8 and 9. You beat 3 ranked teams. Two of them on the road.
You're right, but
I think they should have been. I think honestly, I thought they're probably the 20th. They're the 18th to 20th best team. I mean, let's just be real about this. Like, I love mid-majors. I will defend mid-majors as far as them getting extra tournament bids over some of the mid, the teams who get in with a losing record in conference. But come on, are we really being serious about this? Do we really think that if Kentucky and Miami, Ohio played in the tournament, that Miami, Ohio would be favored?
I don't know. Is Cal coaching?
Well, good point. But he's not.
Like I said, I'm making a joke, but This is the point I'm making. Kentucky had a really, really bad stint of basketball for about a month and a half, correct?
Yeah, they lost to a lot of good teams.
Yeah,
They have one bad loss.
Missouri's not a great team.
Missouri is a bad loss.
But they were also losing to those good teams by a really
They were getting blown out. That hurts.
The point I'm making is you are having to build back from that state again. Did I think they should have been 25th and get set up to immediately get dropped out again because of Florida? No, I don't. Especially when the argument with Arizona the past 2 games is they've lost back-to-back games, one being at home, and they're still in the top 5, whereas after the Kansas loss, I was on the side that, you know what, Arizona played well enough. I don't think they should drop out of the 1 spot. They're still, I think, the best team in college basketball. They played well enough in arguably the most hostile environment in the country that you could have said that maybe a call or 2 goes their way. They win that game, but then they come back and they lose to Texas Tech at home, who Texas Tech I think is a good team, but I don't think they're better than Arizona. The point is, I think Kentucky was having to build their way out so deep that eventually they got to the point where, like, okay, we literally have to rank this team. I still think they got screwed over. They shouldn't have been 25th. They should have definitely been higher than that. I think that wherever you put them, they should have almost gotten the Arizona buffer zone for 1 game.
Yeah, maybe. But according to, like, the amount of votes that they got, I mean, it looks like they would have probably dropped out anyway because they have Clemson, Utah State, Tennessee, and Villanova ahead of them. According to this, they're technically 26, 27, 28, 29. They're 30th. So
yeah, that I don't agree with.
Yeah.
I think if they would have went into Florida and lost by like 15 plus, that'd been like, okay, that makes sense. Put them at 30th. But they went in and yeah, they got down by a decent margin a couple times, but they fought back in the end and they made it a really tough game. Florida obviously looked extremely uncomfortable in that game at certain times. It was one where based on the way they played, you should have almost gotten the Arizona treatment. Maybe still not at 25th. If you dropped out, you should have been like the very next team in.
And I understand.
Because Clemson had a very bad loss at home.
They did? Okay. Well, like
Virginia Tech.
I've said, like, you got to reward winning. I'm looking at Utah State's resume right now, who technically is ahead of Kentucky, who got like 30 more votes than Kentucky. And I know this doesn't, like, the AP, it doesn't matter. I do think there's a tangible benefit to being in the top 25 and having a little number next to you. And one of those is just when I go look up the basketball scores, it's right there. But Utah State, they lost to back-to-back games just a month ago, where they lost to Grand Canyon by 10 and then lost at home to UNLV by 10. UNLV. They're 13-12 on the season. I mean, are we really, like, the way I look at it is, okay, if you're going to put Utah State ahead of Kentucky and it's just for funsies, then that's fine. If you want to be legitimately, like, this is legitimately the top 25 or the top 30, then ask yourself, who on a neutral floor, would Utah State be favored over Kentucky? I mean, maybe, but I don't think so. Do you? I mean, like, would St. Louis be favored? I mean, I don't think these are bad teams, but I just don't see where.
This is also a really tough top 25 this season because you could go across the board and you could say the top 20. Okay, I'll say 19. Arkansas is a little questionable. They've had a tough stretch. The top 19 are basically locks. Like, those teams have to be in there, right? Like, St. John's, you can make an argument, but North Carolina, Michigan State, Virginia, Texas Tech, Florida, all the way up to number 1. All of those teams have to be in there. There's not even a question as to these teams deserve to be in. It's when you get to the 25 to the 20 range, you start to have questions. Louisville has not played well against really good competition, but they were ranked high enough that they kind of survived that onslaught, and now that they're playing the easier end of their schedule and they're on a good win streak, they're moving it back up. Alabama has not played anywhere near as well as of late, but they're in there. Wisconsin, I think, deserves to be higher than 24. I think they deserve to be 18th or 19th. If we're putting, like, the St. Louis team has played really well this season. Josh Schertz is doing an incredible job with that team. I think that a team like Wisconsin deserves to be above them. BYU, I can't believe they're still in the top 25 at this point after going on a 4-game losing streak and just looking horrible into these games they've played recently. Miami of Ohio, but deserves to be ranked. They deserve to be ranked, but I agree with you that if we're putting them against Kentucky, I'm not picking Miami of Ohio. I think it could get interesting. It could be a fun game to watch, but I'm thinking Arkansas, you could make an argument for they played better in their last game. Obviously, they won by 20 against. It's that 20 to 25 range is really, really muddy.
Yeah.
And it's one of those where you could Tennessee doesn't deserve to be in there. Villanova, you can make an argument for. Miami, you can make an argument for. Clemson, I think they don't deserve to be in after their rough loss. Utah State, you can make an argument for. Kentucky. 4 of those 7 teams, we could sit here and talk over air for an hour.
How are they how are 21 people voting Tennessee over Kentucky? Look, if they split, all right, fine, but Kentucky beat them both times. They're 2-0. How is it 21 people said, oh, I know that Kentucky beat Tennessee twice, but Tennessee's just obviously the better team. I don't know. It is what it is. I don't try to get too worked up over what voters say.
I genuinely believe it comes down to because we saw the similar things with the AP poll this year in football, where there were genuine AP voters coming out and say, "Oh, well, I didn't really get to watch that game last week." And this,
yeah, I know, exactly, yeah.
I'm getting to the point where you're starting to see that kind of the bias come into play in basketball, where you see what kind of season the SEC had last year. You put in, it was 11 of how
11.
many? 11 teams.
Mm-hmm.
I think the SEC is good. I don't think it's great this year. I think that Florida is their closest chance to a national title contender.
Oh, yeah, by far.
And I think that they even have some issues that, really good teams like Houston or Arizona or Michigan could take advantage of. So yeah. I don't think they have a lock this year like they did last year. I think some of that, the SEC being so good last year, is beginning to carry over to this season. Well, even with the teams that aren't in the top 25, like Tennessee. Because I agree with you, there's no reason in anyone's right mind, if we're going to give votes to teams out there, Tennessee should be above Kentucky. There's just no way.
Am I only seeing 4 SEC teams in the top 25, I guess?
Yeah, that was how it was last week, too.
Okay, all right. Yeah, that's interesting. Oh, yeah, because Alabama took Kentucky's
Alabama
spot.
just slipped in. It would have been 3.
Yeah. So when you look at what Kentucky's got to do the rest of the way, they have to beat Georgia now on Tuesday. They have to. Georgia lost by 18 to Oklahoma while Oklahoma's arena was burning down. You got to beat that. Did you see that?
I did not.
Did you? You didn't? Oh, look it up.
I watched. I didn't get to watch much of that game.
Go look it up on Twitter. Oklahoma's.
Oh, you mean the popcorn?
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, I did. Yes, I did see that.
Okay. Yeah, the arena was on fire, and they still beat Georgia by 18. So you have to win that game. Bartorvik has Kentucky winning that game. You go to Auburn. Look, I know playing there is hard, and I know that you're going to get the rowdiest of their fan base to show up. And the last few times we've gone there, the fans have been camping out for multiple days. But I think if you want to finish inside the top 4, which you need to do, if you want a real shot to win in Nashville, which matters, I'm one of those people that I love the SEC tournament. I'd love for Kentucky to win it again sometime soon. Then you have to beat Auburn. Have to. Then you play South Carolina at South Carolina. You have to win that game. Vanderbilt at home, there should be no reason why you lose by 20 at home. That game, I know it's silly. They lost by 25. I think Kentucky can win that game. And then A&M and Florida to round out the year. But this is a crucial week for Kentucky. They can go 2-0 this week and put themselves not just in good position to finish in the top 4, but to also have a shot, if Florida slips up, to maybe even get a share of the SEC regular season championship. All right, we'll get to some of your text on the Gameday Men's Health text line. Also, I need to get lunch after this, and I'm considering Salsaritas for their wildly addictive chips. Salsaritas in the St. Matthews location. Matt will probably be the one that I try to check out on the way home. John here, yes, our Kentucky our basketball Cats will bounce back this week in a big way by winning both of their games on the schedule. There you go. That's what I like to see. I'm also super excited for our Bat Cats. Yeah, Kentucky baseball returned to action this past weekend, and did you see the game where there was one guy hit 3 grand slams for Baylor in one game?
Yeah,
that is insane.
It was kind of crazy.
It's college baseball time already. Kentucky's 3-0. They'll play Morehead State tomorrow at 4. You can make it a doubleheader if you want. Get to the baseball game, go straight from that to a Kentucky basketball game. This Patrick Murphy texted in the breaking news. 8-time Pro Bowler wide receiver Tyreek Hill is being released by the Miami Dolphins. We're just starting all over.
Get ready to learn, Patriots, buddy.
Oh, man, I know. But it will save the Dolphins $22.8 million against the salary cap. So, quarterback? I don't know.
I'm being seriously honest with you. I think Mike Vrabel's on the phone with him right now. We got $70 million to spend.
Yep.
He wants the dude broke his leg in half and started cheering with fans as he was driven off the field.
Yeah, I know.
I've never seen something like that in my life.
I thought the Dolphins were being serious about winning when they brought him in. And I thought, like, oh, this is like this.
They were?
Yeah, they were. But then we still haven't won a playoff game.
I generally think they got a bad luck draw with Mike McDaniel. I think that if you have a different coach in that situation, that team is just as good as the Bills, is just as good as the Chiefs in terms of contending for the AFC. Mike McDaniel's only won like 4 games against teams above 500.
I know. And that's not bad luck. That's just bad bad GM, bad ownership again. It's the same thing. Same thing.
You had a window, and then it just, I don't know. Yeah, it was one of those where he beat up on the bad team so bad.
Yeah.
It was like, this guy, he's going to get over the hump, and he just never did.
What did he beat 70-28? Beat the Broncos, I think. Insanity. Another text into the Gameday Men's Health text line. Peak, I think there's something with psychology now in refs where they get off making the wrong calls against us. I know I'm crazy and wish very bad things on college basketball refs, but come on, these dudes are horrible. Now, there is something to that, Matt, and the book actually explains some of that, where there's a certain person out there who will not conform to anything like that. So there was a study done where they had a line on one page and then 3 lines on the other page. And they said there were 3 different lines on the other page, and they said which one of these lines is the same length as the line on the first page. And they would have somebody in the controlled study pick the wrong one on purpose, and they would go around the room and they have several people do that. And then when they get to the person they're doing the experiment on who doesn't know this is an experiment, they conformed 80% of the time. But there's like a little bit less than 20% would go, no, you guys are wrong. And that's Doug Schaus. He doesn't care. I think that there's a certain personality type that just will go against the grain, especially if they believe that they are right. And that actually makes for a better official, right?
Mine is the basic in a high-pressure situation when the ref calls a charge and he, like, sprints halfway down the floor and then pumps his fist.
They love doing that.
Oh, gosh. Those dudes get off on making those calls.
They do. It's all about them. I bet there is a personality type that's just like, I love it. I love when they hate me. I love being the villain.
Like, you have the nickname TV Teddy for a reason.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. And it's not because it's just your initials, Teddy Valentine.
That's true.
Another good text here from one of my favorites. This is a different we have 2 270s messaging in. I love that. Reminds me of Murray, Kentucky. I see TJ is adopting the old Roush work 2 days a week, maybe attendance policy. What did TJ? He was just busy today with regular work, right? And then his daughter was sick before that, so it's just these things all they happen in bunches, right? Another text. Producer Matt is killing it. I was just joking about the quote above. What was the quote above?
The quote above was, it put in quotations, says, "Oh, man, you should have heard me earlier, Mike and Roman. I was owning those silly roll call hosts again."
Okay.
Stupid UK fans. It says, producer Matt later.
That's great.
Hey, if you ever tune into the Mike Rutherford show running with Roman after this, I say that. That's my opening. That's what I say when I get there. Roman's like, "How was Kentucky roll call?" "Oh, silly, stupid guys."
He said, Roman 2, props to Big X for bringing on you two and him. Now forgive Trevor and bring him back. What did Trevor do? Is there a story there?
There is. You can look it up.
Okay. I will look that up.
I promise it's not hard to find.
Okay. All right. I don't know how I haven't heard about this. Or maybe I have. I just need a refresher. I'm going to look that up. I want to look it up right now, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to look it up a little bit later. Okay. Matt, as we get ready to close out the show, I just have a few more bullet points to try to get to. And one of them is I'm feeling less and less optimistic about sophomore Malachi Marino at Kentucky.
Oh, like him staying?
Yeah.
You're talking about draft or transfer?
Oh, I don't think he'll transfer. No, I think that
I think he's going to get drafted.
Dude, I'm telling you.
I think he's definitely good enough to be drafted. I think that he is a player who, like, next season with the freshman coming in, it doesn't look anywhere near as stacked this year. I think he has everything to gain for staying one more season and developing a little bit more.
I do think he can develop into a lottery pick for sure. But that means that if he's not a lottery pick and he falls right outside of it, well, now it's a year off of his NBA playing. So you know what I mean? Like,
but the thing is, you don't have anything much to lose anymore because he's going to get a bag next year.
They're going to have to pay him like $3 million.
So like that's where normally before.
Yes.
Before NIL, I was like, this player has to leave now. His stock is only going to get worse.
Yep.
Like, but what's the opportunity he gets in a lottery next season? Now it's like, dude, stay. Who cares if you're not a lottery pick? You're going to make $4 million this season.
There is a strong case for him to come back, and hey, we're gonna build a team kind of around you. You're gonna make a big jump in my system next year. Was what Mark Pope should tell him. And hey, you're at Kentucky. Like, people are gonna love you. TJ, I think we'll be back tomorrow. We'll have another great show then and get you set for Kentucky and Georgia. A big game tomorrow night. This has been Kentucky Roll Call on 1450 96.1.